Hi, my name is Julie. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be interviewing or just having somebody really special on right now, and her name is Jennifer Rajala. She was a 100K inner circle coach. She was my coach, one of my coaches when I was within Rank Makers and 100K inner circle coaching program. So I was in that for about a year. And you might not know much about Jen, but she was in Arbonne. She was a coach, with the 100K inner circle, like working for Ray Higdon, his group, Higdon Group, for 4 years. And she's also going to be on the Dream podcast season 3. That's coming, and that's when that's dropping this spring. She's been interviewed by Jane Marie, and that's going to be coming up. She is an incredible voice speaking out on behalf of people, not only in the multi-level marketing industry, but people that have been involved in these multi-level marketing coaching groups, because there hasn't been a lot of conversation about what goes inside these groups and how victims are doubly indoctrinated. And so she was a coach she was like a coach that was coached by Ray to coach coaches. This is where she's at, and she's speaking out, and she's I'm so happy that she's here. And you can see Beth is here, Charlene is here, and Jen, is there anything that you would like to say? Hello, welcome to the stream.
Hi. This feels cool. This morning when I messaged you, saying that I felt ready, I didn't feel ready to speak out myself on YouTube in this way, but I knew that I felt safe doing it with you. It was very reminiscent of April last year, I believe it was, when I sent you that message on TikTok after I had listened to your TikTok videos about leaving Rank Makers and everything that you were seeing. And I had said to you, I see your videos. I understand. I get it. I'm working on my exit strategy. And so the only thing I want to say is thank you for being there for me then. And thank you for being here for me now. And you didn't get me out. You weren't like a savior that saved me, but you did help me piece a lot of things together. And I think that that's really important, that it's been tough to speak out, because there is this tendency to then, especially as a coach, but I mean, even just as a leader in general in MLM, to then feel like you got to reach down and pull people back up, right? Send the elevator back down. We can't save anybody. And so I'm just excited. One of the things too that I almost said that's been on my heart, that God to talk about.
Pour into us, Jen.
Yeah, the one thing I want to pour into you today. There's going to be a lot of those. Let's just have a disclaimer, like a ticker tape at the bottom, like Hun speak, disaster zone. But just this whole thing around being a victim of the MLM industry and this cult influence, undue influence. And I just think it's really important to start speaking about the mindset, for lack of a better word, that you literally are in these things, to where I'm now on the other side of this. I'm not sure there's anything. I haven't found the thing where I can't also see the version of myself that would have said yes to that thing if Ray said to do it. Do you understand what I mean? I know you understand, but and so that to me it's a scary thought, but it's also an empowering one, because undue influence is so insidious that you may think that it wouldn't happen to you. You may think, oh, I'd never get sucked into a religious cult. Oh, I would have woken up when Ray started talking about how he's an orphaned son and how now he's baptized. Or I would have woken up at Ma Nations when people were being baptized. Or I would have woken up if someone made me hike for 22 hours in the Colombian desert. But there are things that I look at and I say, if Ray Higdon And Julie, you know how this would have gone. If Ray put out a challenge that said, we're going to be holding a retreat. You're going to be, not everyone's going to be able to make it. This is for the winners. This is for, I'm a lunatic. So I know that if I was still in MLM, I'd be there. But you may not be a lunatic like me, but we're going to hold this retreat in another country. And we are looking for rank makers who, remember, rank makers are a different breed of network marketing. So if you're a different breed, we're asking you to submit a video to be on this retreat with us. And he did this with Play to Win. This has already been done. But all I'm saying is that if Ray had done a life-changing retreat, much like what Jessie Lee Ward has done, I would have been on that retreat. And let me tell you what, I would have fought tooth and nail, I probably would have complained because, yeah, sure. But I also would have come back feeling a bond with the other people on that trip. I would have felt like I was doing something out of my comfort zone to grow me. I would have posted on social media to say how life-changing it was. And I put this in my Instagram stories, and I talked to you and, some of our other friends who have been through this on Play to Win, to say I would have done all of this without having been asked. I would have done that post on social media to say, it was said, hashtag rank makers, hashtag Wealth Wednesday, hashtag be the reason. And oh my God, shout out to my mentor, Ray Higdon, for pushing me out of my comfort zone once again. Just when I thought I couldn't do something, his coaching helped me be the reason for everyone else on the trip to get through it. We are stronger. We are better. We are survivors. This has already been done. And to this, it's just so important that we speak to these people, whether they aren't suing or are suing or are even more, maybe they've doubled down on their beliefs. It is just so important to remember that we aren't dealing with just a group of friends or a corporate group that went on some corporate retreat. We are dealing with a cult, and you cannot compare these two things. You just cannot. Because if you were at a job and your boss took you on a retreat and things like this started to happen, because you're not in a cult, you would likely say, this isn't this is not in my job description. This is, I get off work in 3 hours. They said 2 hours. This is supposed to be done 3 hours ago, because you're not in that mindset. Now, that's not to say that there aren't corporations that aren't have cultiness to them. That's why it's on the continuum. But anyway, I always feel like I'm rambling, and
You're not
you know how it
rambling.
is.
And
But
that's how, what we were taught in rank makers, and also like within our multi-level marketing companies, and especially as you as a coach, was always shamed that you're talking too much. You need to be concise. Whereas you would see Ray blab on, lose his train of thought, and that you're always held up to this impossible standard, which we could see on those both seasons of 2 seasons of the reality show Play to Win, where him and his wife Jessica give this never-ending, like, weird contradictory instructions to people. And so I just want to validate you are not rambling. And even if you were rambling, it's okay, because it is your truth, and this stuff needs to get out there. And you have such a powerful voice. So many of your clients never got a chance to even say goodbye to you because you were fired immediately as soon as you stood up to Ray in the infamous Last Supper showdown. And so I just want to say that
I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore just for that. This is on purpose. And the other thing too is, people may not know how deeply entrenched in the Higdon Group I was. I was a coach. I was also a part of the speaking team, which was this group that he put together. He had promised we had to audition. We had to submit an audition tape. We had to say why we should be chosen for the speaking team, what we would do for the Higdon Group if we were chosen. We were told to pretty much what's our story. And there was already talk before we had even all submitted our videos, like comparing each other's stories. So you know what you do? You're like, oh, well, God, that person was abused as a child, just like Ray was. This person's gone through a divorce. This person's foreclosure, just like Ray. And you start to think, well, maybe my story isn't good enough. And already you're like comparing your trauma to someone else's trauma. And so anyway, we had to submit these videos. We were chosen for the speaking team. And this, when I tell you guys, when I made the speaking team, this was like a dream come true. Like I thought even more than when I, earned my Mercedes with Arbonne. I thought this is the thing. This is the thing. Oh my God. I'm holding the secret, like I'm holding my hopes and dreams inside the palm of my hand because I do like to speak. I like to create. The idea of training, mentoring, teaching, educating are all things that I love to do. On top, so that was preyed upon, in my opinion. Now, the second thing is it was positioned that he was going to make millionaires out of these speakers. He promised, and he said, and now I can see that, in my opinion, he promised that he was going to make at least two of us. He never said everybody, I guess. He always would say at least two of us into millionaire speakers. So that right there is this dangling carrot that we are chasing. And I'm sharing all of this to kind of give some insight into like how loyal I was, because I think if you think, oh, this is like, yes, she was a rank maker. Yes, she was one of his coaches, but it even goes deeper than that. I was training to be one of the people, supposedly, which I could get into, but because I don't even know if the speaking team was a legit group, honestly. But I was training to become one of the people that spoke for him. I was training to essentially go on other company stages and give the same spiel that Ray gave, only twisting my own trauma in there. Oh, hi. Um, so the point of me saying this is that one of the biggest critiques that I used to get. So what we would have to do is we then went through this speaking workshop and we wrote these speeches. I mean, we practiced in front of each other. We would record ourselves and then we would send it to Ray and then a different like speaking coach, and we would get critiques. And you always felt like shit about yourself, because it was never like, great pacing or you sound really confident. It was always something that you had to work on. And for me, the biggest thing was you say too much. You talk too much. You say too much. You're too much this. And so that was, again, a long story to say that I have that still. And I'm not a year out, but I have that voice in my head that's like, you're talking too much. You're droning on too long. And I wanted to set that up. So like, these things are real. Luckily, it's not his voice. I think there was a time it was his voice in my head saying these things, but it's not. And that is just adds another layer of, am I making sense?
You are making so much sense.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for revealing so much. And you know how you were saying Ray was training you and other coaches to speak out on his or to represent him. You are particularly were already speaking out representing him as you went live on his public page numerous times, interviewing your coaching clients, 100K Inner Circle clients. In fact, your identity was stolen from you, because you would go live under his page and it would say Ray Higdon is live. And I remember when I would see this go on, I'm like, why? It's like deceiving, because we think that he's going live, but then it would be somebody else. But you did that frequently. You also, so you're representing him. That's on his big wig Facebook public page. This is the representation of his brand, his teaching, everything. You already were doing that. You were also referred all these different types of clients, very high paying clients. So, it's funny how you had to feel like you had to compete, that he set this scenario up where you have to outdo each other's abuse and trauma stories, comparing yourselves with each other, at the same time having this incredible bond. I remember when I was in 100K inner circle coaching, and I saw this incredible community between you coaches. You were so like rooting each other on and supporting each other. And
that was real.
It was real. You could tell it was real.
Yeah. It was real. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm just filling it in to like lube it up so that you can like slide back in.
Woo! Oh, it's gonna be that kind of live. Yes. So exactly that. But yeah, the community was real. The coaches, it felt like real friendships. I spoke to these coaches outside of our coaches meetings, and I mean, we were working all the time. Like, we had to be, when you watch The Vow and you see like the readiness drills that they had to do when they were a part of oh my gosh, what was not Nexium, but what was the deeper one? The
SOPDOS Jeunesse?
No, well, the one someone in the comments is going to know. But anyway, the girls that were getting groomed, the insular group of women.
DOS?
DOS. Yes, DOS. So just like the readiness drills that they had to do in DOS, I mean, that's what it was like with the inner circle coaches and like the Higdon Group employees, like chat threads. You didn't have set hours where you were working from like 8 to 4 or something. You had to be ready at all times. We did trainings and lives and interviews, and we had meetings, all different time zones, all hours of the day, much like being in an MLM within an MLM. Now, Rank Makers isn't technically an MLM, but there are so many things that are similar that it felt like being in a cult within a cult. And I know you've talked about this. So like coming out of this, it is like, we didn't just leave an MLM. We like left, I don't even have a good analogy. Sorry, but it's like, but that community was real, and it sucked, and it made it even harder when I did stand up to Ray in that meeting, the Last Supper, as you coined it, and this was before he even went down this path. When I stood up and I looked around, and none of the other coaches really came to my aid. I guess I didn't know what I was expecting. And when you realize you're in a cult, like in hindsight, like that makes sense that none of them felt safe to agree with me, even if on some level they did. But that made it even harder when I said this outright. Like, I think what you're doing is wrong. I think the advice that you gave, and I don't know, like, who knows what the hell I'm talking about. But there was a meeting where the last meeting that I had as an inner circle coach, where I stood up to Ray and I said that I didn't agree with some advice that he'd given. And I thought that he had used it as an opportunity to promote his book. And also that I felt like he was shaming us to just sell more coaching to our clients, and that was like not a good, like, it was using our relationship with our clients in a deceptive way. I stood up to him. Nobody came to my side. Nobody agreed with me. Everyone doubled down and came to Ray. And within 24 hours, yeah, I was removed from every group that I was a part of in my role as a coach, even rank makers, and which rank makers I had paid for lifetime membership for, because Ray had put out an incentive or a program to become a rank maker lifer, where rather than paying monthly, you paid it was like $300, I think it was like $297, where you could just be a rank maker lifer. And people don't realize that even as a coach, I had to pay for that. I had to pay to become a rank maker lifer. So I think there are people that probably assume that the coaches just get added to that group. And don't get me wrong, there definitely are trainings and challenges that we just get added to because we are running most of them. We are creating them. But the rank maker lifer thing, which I was removed from, which later they did ask me if I wanted to refund my money. So I want to make sure that I say that that's on the record as well. But they did remove me from everything else.
When
And
you're
just
sorry,
speaking up and questioning and saying, I disagree. I believe I know my clients more than you know them, because I've been working with them for the last year, 2 years, in some cases 3 years, because the incentive in this coaching group, or the goal in this coaching group, is to keep people around the campfire, because sooner or later they're going to catch a spark. So after one round of coaching, if they don't have the story we want, then get them in for a second year, because that's going to be the year they have their breakthrough. Get them in for a third year, because that might be the year they have their breakthrough. But actually what it is they're just getting further and further indoctrinated to eventually probably guilt themselves into a story. Oh gosh, I've been here for 3 years. I'm sure I can come up with some sort of transformational story for Ray to get noticed. And so when I say, to bring this all full circle, when I say that, of course, these victims are going to double down on their leader, that was me. Like, there are so many things that I just nodded my head and I don't know, but like, you might think like, well, then what was it that made you wake up? And I wish it was just one thing, but it was just a lot of things. And the biggest thing was realizing I wasn't alone, honestly, because when I saw Julie's stuff, there were things that I would just think, oh, it's my mindset. It's my mindset. It's me. It's me. It's me. There's always that need for that personal accountability. And what did I think or say or do to attract this into my life? But when you see someone else feeling the same things, you're like, it isn't just me. And like, really, it's like I can feel that in my body, the way it felt when I saw a lot of your content and thought, it isn't me. It isn't me. Like, and that light bulb goes off. And like Julie, you had shared that when you saw Lula Rich, you had these moments where this like brick wall came down and you couldn't hear it, but then you had moments where you were like, oh my fucking God, I'm in a cult. like you got it. And that's how it was watching your video. Like, I remember like getting off of TikTok, because like you'd say something. I think a lot of times it was about 100K inner circle, which I still kind of like held close to my heart. You know what I mean? Or like, I didn't want to admit that I had been a part of it, because I manipulated people in there. I didn't know I was. I thought I was helping them grow. But I still wasn't ready to hear that. And so there were times when I'd be watching some of your content and then I would be like, oh, well, okay, whatever. And then I just like move on. Like, I can't think this negatively. And it's strange. And so these victims too, they might be questioning. And if you have voices that are saying you should be ashamed of yourself because you're not suing, you're not leaving, you're sticking up for your leader, I think that is just going to further prove to them that the only safe space is inside the cult, is following what because Jessie Lee cares about me. Look, she just brought me on this retreat. I did that so much. And I had coaches do that to me. Even when I started like to ask other coaches like their thoughts on things before I ever stood up to Ray. I had other coaches say, I totally agree, Jen. And then in the same sentence, they would say, but I don't think Ray, Ray's heart is in the right place. I don't think he'd ever do anything to like X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, yeah. And then after a while of saying, yeah, nodding my head, I started to go, yeah, but how do we know? Like, how do we know? Like, so this takes so much time. It was like a good, I don't know, 6 to 9 months of me really questioning. And now it was longer for Arbonne for me. Arbonne was like a very slow process to get out of, but like Ray, I think it was like 6 months. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I was already kind of over MLM. I was starting to see through the cracks. But like how long was it for you, Julie?
About a year and a half. I started to question, and it was rank makers and Ray's behavior that led me out of the multi-level marketing industry.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy that it was Ray first for you and then Monty. And then for me, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
So like there's no
blueprint here.
Yeah.
And people that are like thinking, like this whole what if scenario is playing out where it's like, if you were at your job and your boss said that you're not, because you're not in a cult, you've not been conditioned over 3 years to gaslight yourself, to say that anything that your critical thinking comes up, you're like, I am thinking negatively, how I should be so grateful. We are doing that to ourselves. That doesn't happen in your job. It is an unfair comparison. And it shows a complete lack of empathy or understanding, especially if people are going to be starting to talk about the BITE model, behavior, information, thought, emotional control, using like Stephen Hassan's work. It's like this needs to have way more broader reach and understanding to what these people are going through. There was like a number of comments in here, people talking about like layers of a cake, layers of an onion. Like if you look at what people have experienced within rank makers, there's a whole other subculture. There's a subculture of people within rank makers. There's a subculture even in that, which is the coaches. So you have all these coaches that are thinking they are really doing good work. This, for them to start waking up and like removing themselves, it takes so much to then reconcile what they've been a part of. It is not a matter of somebody just, cutting you off in traffic or making you do something you don't want to do and thinking like, I'm out, I'm suing you, I've got that. It's a horrendous and as negligent to people's feelings as the behavior that you see from these MLM coaches. It's not right. And especially in this space, it shouldn't even be happening. There should be way more understanding,
Yeah. And these are I hate the word top leader. I really do. Because what does it mean? But these are people at the top of the pyramid, right? That went to Columbia. Okay. So there's also a team that you feel responsible and accountable to. And so when you go on these retreats or like these masterminds or whatever, you feel it's not an obligation. It's just you're in a cult. You feel called. You feel called to, if I can't say that I had a negative experience because of my team. So also, even if they had a negative experience and they were like, Jessie Lee is mean, they feel alone, like I talked about, but also like, I got to get my ducks in a row before my team finds out if I am going to leave. Okay. If I am going to leave, I am going to sue. I've just led this team down this path. That is been the hardest thing to wake up from, because when you speak out, it's like everyone's still in the cult is like, oh, she's just a victim. She's misguided. What were all the things you were called, Julie? Misguided, hater, demonic energy. She's all those things. And that rolls right off you because you're like, whatever. They're like, they're trying to protect the cult. What is the toughest thing to reconcile, at least for me, I guess I can't speak for everybody, is like, I was the manipulator. Look at all these people in my downline or in my coaching, on my coaching roster, who listened to me proselytize for this man. And Julie, one of my favorite things that you say is, I blew so much free sunshine up that man's ass. I did that so much because it's so true. I did that so much. So then actually the hardest thing to overcome was like, if I leave and I start speaking out, look at all these clients who now are going to think I lied to them. And that's not what it was. I don't care about the people who disagree with me. Like, I was in a cult. I mean, like, there's going to be disagreements, but it's recognizing how you were also the manipulator. And that is a very sensitive thing that I also think needs to be remembered and kept in mind when we speak about these people who went on this retreat or whatever. I don't know what the kids are calling it these days. Is it a retreat?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. And you know, we have friends that have experienced this and have even, I believe, have even more insight into the mindset that is in when you're actually on, you know, when you're actually at the retreat, because that's different. When you're actually surrounded and you're competing, or you're, you know, you're doing challenges together. I mean, because that you're like doubled down in that moment. How long was the Colombia trip? I don't remember. Was it a week?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how long it was. Yeah.
But you're also like in this little world for, let's say, 7 days, 5 to 7 days. Okay. And think about any vacation that you go on. Like, I don't know about you, but like, if I'm on vacation and I come back home to like 3 kids, I'm like, my mind is scrambled anyway, let alone, you're having to get back to reality. So on top of that, they're like getting back from this. They're like trying to figure out what happened. They're also trying to get back to their lives. There's just so many nuances that the only reason it's like, I just think this is so important to remember as we have these conversations. It's great. It's being exposed, but like, I could see myself. It's scary how easily I could see myself in their shoes.
Me too. I can too. But you know, when I see, when, you know, with Nexium, Sarah Edmondson didn't leave as soon as she got branded. And people would say, oh, I would never be a part of that group until I got branded. It's like, that wasn't what happened. These things take time to wake up from. And I know when I woke up and I finally, and it was like a process of waking up. And when I got out, you're not healed. You're not able even to think clearly. It took me another 4 months to even like have it completely fall apart. And then I got therapy. So, I mean, there's people that can't afford therapy. There's people that think, well, I should be thinking this way now because now I've left this group and I should just be able to, you know, have all my shit together and understand what's going on. That is not how this works. This is going to take years to unpack. And it doesn't matter how long you've been involved in these groups. Some people can be involved for a very short period of time. Some people can be involved for a long period of time. It's how each individual is impacted, and there needs to be more of a sensitivity about this. And you are so good at sharing your experience, especially as a coach within this, and bringing up the point about play to win, this reality show where there's all the people got these t-shirts saying reality show survivors. Jessie Lee is following a blueprint that Ray Higdon has set. And she's going right on that same thing. Buy my courses. I'm this network marketing coach, which they all learned from Eric Warren.
She said she was the #1 network marketer in the world.
She's the #1 most humble network marketer in the world.
Her and Ray are fighting for that spot. Oh shoot. The other thing about like play to win, because you brought it up again, is the other thing I could see myself doing as a coach is if Ray, so I was in Rank Makers during Play to Win season 1 and 2, and I watched them like fervently. Like I was excited for the episodes to be released. I mean, I thought they were the greatest thing. Like you said that by the second season, you kind of were starting to see how this was wrong. And I wasn't. I was, and it's insane because now I watch it, I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me, you know? But the other thing that I've thought about is, say for season 2, Ray had been like, we've got this inner circle coaching program and we're going to bring the coaches and they're going to come and mentor these teams. And I could see myself being him. Like, it's like the Stanford experiment where there's this hierarchy and me being like, oh, you got to run through this pool and you got to, do 15 cold calls and then 25 push-ups. And then you got to sell 15 handbags, and being the one with the megaphone yelling at these people. Or in the interviews, like where he's trying to tell them like what they need to do. I mean, that's what I did as a coach for him. And so I can also see that part of it. And when you're in a social setting like that, it is freaking quick how like your survival instincts kick in, where I'm no longer leading with empathy. I'm like, how do I get ahead in this place? Because I have to look out for myself. It's like eat or be eaten. Is there? I'm so bad at reading the comments. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry, because I want to keep you in flow, and I just put them up occasionally. But I thought I'd leave this one and think that might attract it.
This is a good time for me to take a snot break. Hold on.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. I know. So this is a question from Kirsten. Is there a way you step back and analyze things when you start feeling that dissonance? No, because you're still embroiled in it. Like, it happens. I'm starting to question things. I'm going to just blab a little bit and then I'll let you go back in, Jen, answer this question. And yeah, no problem. And so it's like, because ultimately you're not thinking clearly. So even when I was trying to take in information, it was like a brick wall coming down over. So for example, say I'm on this Columbia trip, say I'm on Jesse Lee's team. I don't see abuse. I'm watching Play to Win. I don't see abuse. I am like thinking, oh my God, I wish that my audition tape had been selected. I'm just leaving Rank Makers. I still don't see the abuse. Now I look back at that reality show and I'm like, how did I not see that abuse? So it's the stepping back. It doesn't feel that way. I didn't experience that at all. It felt like a growing awareness in fits and starts. And as I started to get more and more awarenesses, it became like a rush. Like it started to happen more and more and more. All of a sudden, it was like a dam burst. And I was looking at anti-MLM content and I was making more connections. So much so that I had to leave Mon8 and send in my resignation email, where it was impossible for me to let it lapse in a few months. That would have been in May last year. But I was like, no, it has to be done now in December because I learned so much. But even then, I still didn't know what I knew like 4 months later, when I'm like, I can't even believe what I've been a part of. So did you want to have a stab at it?
And that's, people are like, how did you stand up to Ray? Like, and people have said really kind things like, oh, you're so brave and all these things, but that's how it felt. The reason why I could stand up is because there were all these things happening, and it was like the dam burst at that moment. It was like, as he was sitting there saying the word defiant over and over and over, the fucking dam burst. And I was just like, and it had to come rushing out of me. And I'm not a therapist at all. And so like, if you're seeing a therapist, but there is one thing that I've heard that's like, heal first and then speak out later. And I will say personally for me is like, I thought about that and I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to heal from this. So then what? I don't say anything? That was one thought running through my head. Then the other thing was like, if I getting this out is my healing, like this has to come out of me at this moment. And I know for a while, even watching the video back from that meeting with Ray, I thought so many things about myself. I thought I sounded negative and bitchy and rude and like my point wasn't made. And I thought like, oh, maybe I did need to heal. Maybe I didn't need, but then nothing would have ever been said. And now again, it's just because I've learned this in hindsight. So like listen to yourself, listen to your instincts. I mean, but I am saying that for me, it like very similar to you, and everyone is different. It had to come out of me. There would, if it had stayed stored inside, I am again afraid of where I might be right now. The other thing too that you said, it didn't look like abuse. And on top of that, anyone who said it looked like abuse was just a victim. Like
Yeah.
being a victim
Yeah.
is not a bad thing because you've been victimized. It's a bad thing because it means your mindset's flawed. And that is something that like you get taught in groups like this, like from day one. One of the very first rank maker videos I ever watched was the snorkel video, the infamous snorkel video. Do you remember this video
I
where
don't know. How do I not know the snorkel video? This
it's
is
like, you
exciting.
may not be a rank maker if. Do you remember the one where he just loses his freaking mind and he talks about snorkeling and people referred to it as the snorkel video? Anyway, I wish I
I don't remember. I can't believe I missed that one. I might
no,
have
but it's
blocked it out.
basically he's shaming people in the video. And it's one of like when people get welcomed into rank makers, there's a series of videos they're supposed to watch. It's like unit one, just like any MLM group, right? Like you would start here. It's like an onboarding process. One of the videos is the infamous snorkel video where he's literally telling you if you complain, if you, he doesn't say if you question, but he says, you may not be a rank maker. If you think that I'm hard on you, you may not be a rank maker. If you think that what I'm saying isn't just to grow you, then you may not be a rank maker. So from the very first, like day one, when you get in the group, you're like, oh, well, everything this dude says is legit. And on top of that, and Roberta Blevins has talked about this, you might be questioning or think this dude's intense, but then you go look at the comments and it's like, oh my God, Ray, you're amazing. Wow, Ray had such a great breakthrough from today's video. Gosh, you always know just what we need, Ray. And you're like, oh, this dude is legit. Maybe he's not as intense as I thought. And you just go right along with it. It's like a social experiment in
Exactly.
the worst way.
And you're in Arbonne, I'm in Mon 8. All these other people are already within their multi-level marketing companies. We're not separate from that world at a job doing something. We are already in. And that's why we're purchasing more, because that's how deep in is that we just believe that we need some tweaks to our mindset, some help with prospecting, tips, recruiting. How can we grow our organization better? Maybe I should join this challenge. So our world is already shrunk to like the confines of the multi-level marketing industry. And now it's like within another like deeper level of this, of rank makers or a coaching cult. So saying, where you're like, well, I was watching a video and he's like losing his shit and he's like shaming people. You do think it's okay because that's how you're treated in the multi-level marketing industry. Look at any of these multi-level marketing leaders. They all do this. The coaches take it to another level. So you're just like getting it from every angle.
Well, it's funny because like to go off of that, in Arbonne, and there are probably other companies like this, they were the nice kind of mean. So they were really sweet and godly and, but they'd like shame you in a way that seemed really nice. But it didn't seem to be growing my business. So actually, when I found Ray and I had this dude who was like jacked up yelling, I was like, yes, this is what I need. The people in Arbonne are too nice, even though they weren't. But you know what I mean?
This approach will work. This guy's different. He's so confident and sure of himself and what he's saying. And some of it is good. And I feel really included. All these people they're from all these different companies. We're a part of something really special. We're a special breed of network marketers. We're going to show up and do it differently. We have integrity. We're not going to spam you. We're going to actually build real relationships with you. We're going to show up every day, despite and until, because we're showing up to speak to previous versions of ourselves. We've got it. Like, it doesn't take much. When you get into rank makers, like,
woo! I love when you go. You can rattle it off. So good.
That's the only thing I have left. It's a bunch of word salad and regret.
Salad with a side of regret.
I don't know if you wanted to talk about this, Jen. Can you see this comment on the screen? Or not? You don't need to.
I mean, it's really simple. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm like so resistant to be the one who has like the answer to the question. I still am like, no, I don't. But I was going to say a great way that we can all approach this who are speaking out is to, instead of looking at it and saying, I would never do that, just say like, how could that have been me? That could have been me. And how? Where in my life have you dated somebody that wasn't who you thought it was? And, you know, like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be an MLM, but I think that everyone's going to make mistakes too. So it's like, I've made a ton of mistakes. When I first left, I was just in fight mode. I was trying, you know, I had been kicked out of all these groups. I was incredibly hurt. I didn't know how to talk to my team about this. I wasn't sure if content was going to be made about me, which it was. I didn't know if I was going to get sued. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was in fight mode, and I approached people who asked questions on a lot of like my TikToks with a level of disdain that, looking back, I wish I would have been more empathetic and looked at it in a way. You have to set boundaries, don't get me wrong, but there were people that I think I just wanted to make sure that they weren't like, I was just in fight mode. There's no better way. So we're going to make mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know when I first started speaking out, I'm like, because I got inundated with thousands of comments on TikTok. And then, and I just like fucking lost my shit, right? I'd just be like in all caps, fuck off, right? And then just like,
you have to do that though.
There's no, like, you're not like coming down. What would Ray say? It's like you're lowered down from the ceiling and all these doves fly off, and you could just immediately be empathetic and so articulate and like greet everybody. You know, it's just like it's like you're fighting for your life. You're fighting to be heard, you know?
I think saying fuck off can be empathetic.
Yeah, I do. Well, I agree. Yeah. I'm not saying everybody agree, but I agree.
When I say that I made mistakes, I mean, like, I spoke down to people, like in a way that it was still my MLM self. That's what I mean. Yeah. And that it's just important, because if you're gonna speak down to people like you're above them, which it happens, we're human again. I mean, go join an MLM, because you wrote in a post, you'd fit right in. Like, it's just that coming through again. And we have to recognize that. No, but I mean, yeah, sometimes you just have to tell people fuck off and end of sentence.
Yeah. I thank you so much. I think that I agree. I think it's like having more of the conversation, shifting away from like victim blaming and recognizing how could that have been me, like you said. How could that have been me? Because that is going to empower people to look for red flags and see the red flags as they present themselves, whether they're in relationships or multi-level marketing companies or other high control groups that can present themselves like in like the mental health space, in like fitness, wellness, whatever, because those flags are the same. Cult flags, they're the same. So instead of, picking, it could be a religious cult and saying, oh, that would never be me. That's not forwarding the conversation. It's grinding it to a halt, and it borders on performative activism. And that's, I'm going to just shift on from that. That's why I leave it at that. Have you anything else that you'd like to continue on?
No. These are good questions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely there was a lack of empathy with Jesse Lee Ward, and this is like, it's tough, and because there are times when I think, like, when did rank makers get so bad? Like, when was that? Because I remember, because you've said this before in podcasts or interviews, where you can hold both feelings in your body.
I still do.
Where you can remember where it was so fun and there were all these people and you felt like, wow, this is really working. And then you can also feel like that was horrible. That was implorable. That was despicable. Oh my God, I can't believe I let that happen. And I sometimes will just like think, where did it go bad? But what it really is like, it was always there. I think I was benefiting from it so much in a way, because it's the other thing too. When you first join rank makers, you're also coached to write your story. And this happens in MLM too. What's your story going to look like? Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Some things never change.
So the way that man wears all of his own shirts is just, isn't it weird? I don't know.
It is weird.
It's like, I don't know. Anyway, so when you join rank makers, not only are you're onboarded, but like you're told, come up with this story. And I can still rattle off my story, which was how I got plucked out of all the people watching the Ray Daily. And then I was interviewed, and then I was asked to join Inner Circle, and it started this whole snowball. But Ray was doing a Ray Daily Live where he was saying that the Higdon Group was looking for stories. We'll feature you on our page. We'll da 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 da. And I had already been in for 3 months, and I had achieved the Mercedes in Arbonne, which that's a topic for another live. But like, I wrote on there, and this is my story. I had to rattle off when I did trainings. Was stuck at a level in my company for 4.5 years, joined rank makers, and within 30 days had my biggest personal month ever. Within 90 days, achieved a car bonus, $1,000 cash towards a trip to Mexico. Oh, and tripled my team volume. Sorry, and tripled my team volume.
What's the definition of posture?
The belief in what you have, regardless of external acceptance or approval. But that story, like, stuck at a level in my company for 90 days, like that, I wrote that on a live he was like, Jennifer, that right there, that's the template. And he plucked me out. That day, I got a message from one of his marketeers saying, hey, Ray loved your story. And I felt chosen.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, oh my God, out of all, there's 16,000 rank makers. He saw me.
Yeah.
So I do an interview with this person again, going live on Ray's page, representing him. And then about a week or two later, I got a phone call about becoming a coach in the inner circle. And I mean, I had also gone through the inner circle coaching program. So that's the other thing people may not know is they're not certified coaches. I know you've spoken about this on your page, but
Well,
you can
it's
hear it
good.
from the horse's mouth. We're not certified coaches. We are people that have paid him money to get not even coached by him, coached by his coaches. We create a story for him, the good enough stories, which, like, this is going to be so out of touch, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, in my mind at that time was, don't hate the player, hate the game. Like, I knew how to play the game. You knew how to play the game. You knew what to
Absolutely.
say. We have friends who have left who have won, reality shows, and like, because we knew how to play his game. And I knew how to play the game to, I learned quickly because it's eat or be eaten. I don't, I hope this is coming across again, but it's like, you get plucked out. I didn't lie either. It's like, that really happened. I was stuck at a level in my company for 4.5 years but I gave all the glory. I didn't talk about how I worked my ass off for those 4.5 years without rank makers and Ray. And all of a sudden, all the glory is given to them. I'm asked to be a coach. I feel chosen. I'm like, and then also, when you achieve a high rank in any, well, you achieve a rank in any company. It doesn't even have to be a high rank. Everybody here who's been in an MLM knows that pressure to maintain it. Oh God, I hit the rank. Like, I'm so excited to hit this rank, but now I got to maintain it. Oh my gosh, can we do the same thing we did last month and the month before? Oh my gosh, people are leaving so quickly. I got to recruit. So there was also that thought in the back of my mind, like, well, I if I can't maintain my rank in Arbonne, I will have this steady stream of income from coaching. And so I said yes before really critically thinking, before really asking any questions. I felt so excited and so good about like being recognized, which I thought was for my hard work, which part of it was.
And it was like you were, and because it's like, how can I best use you? How can I exploit your story to increase my influence and sell more courses and more coaching? She's already crafted this amazing story. I'm going to now like give her like this attention. And for people that are watching this, you're like, oh, I don't care about attention from someone. It's like, yes, you do. You can see this play out all over social media. If someone with a blue tick mark comments on your TikTok or interacts with your content, people will be like fawning over people because they have perceived influence. This is amplified when you're in a group like Rank Makers or within the multi-level marketing industry. So when you think of how amazing people feel if like a larger creator, I don't like to use that term, a creator is a creator, you have more numbers, you have less numbers. It doesn't mean anything. It's like the quality of your character, who you are, actual integrity. So when somebody gives you attention and you hold them in high esteem and you're in like Rank Makers and we respect it, right? I still hold both feelings in my body. Respect. I fucking still have the feeling of respect for him. And also just this, like, he needs to be exposed. So when somebody you respect and you're like, wow, this is so amazing, he's showing you attention, it's amplified even more. So I just wanted to like add that to like what you're saying to help other people understand,
Yeah, and everything in these like high control groups is about leveling up as well. So this felt like a level up. Absolutely felt like the next level is coaching, but you don't realize you're just getting funneled into the inner circle. You're getting funneled into DOS, basically.
We have some really great people on here. I'd just like to shout everybody out. I hope sometimes I forget to tag, in the videos, but these are some really excellent creators that deal with sensitive topics with compassion and thoughtfulness. And they also have amazing boundaries. Savannah Marie, DC, amazing creator, Aaron Bees as well. And there's other ones like the Clown Town, which is, I don't see them on here right now, but Val and Gus are incredible, incredible creators. So I just wanted to say that. And thank you so much for showing support to these coaching groups that are like Rank Makers, and also what's going on with Jessie Lee Ward. So many of the creators here supported me and Jen and other Rank Makers just through creating content to help us start speaking out. And you have paved the way. And I want to like, just, you know, it's important to say that. All right. Okay. Now, what else would you like to say, Jen? Where we want to pick up from this?
Well, I was talking about just creating that story and how you're coached, you're trained. I didn't have to be asked. Half the stuff we did, people are like, well, you did it of your own volition. You're right. I didn't have to be directly asked because I was trained. I was coached. I was indoctrinated. I don't know how else to say it. Like I said, if Ray Higdon put out a Colombia trip, I would go there without having to be asked. I would put a post on social media how life-changing it was. #RankMakers, #Wealth Wednesday, #Be the Reason. Oh my gosh, my mentor Ray Higdon has done it again. Blah, 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 blah. And so then, you know, oh, look at all this stuff you said about me. I didn't ask you to say that, but like for the last 3 years of Rank Makers listening to Ray Dailies, he's talking about edifying and how important it is to uphold your mentors and have all this gratitude for them. And that's why you do it without asking, is because every day. I also think what sets, and you can say that Ray, this was smart of Ray or really fucking stupid, but he had a video every single day indoctrinating us. And I don't think people realize, unless you're in.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What an honor it was to show up live for that Ray Daily. I had coaching clients who were on the Pacific Coast who would set an alarm to get up, who were watching it at like 5:45 in the morning. I would take my kids to school. It was on at 7:45. Put my earbuds in, have my phone with me, watching it while I'm getting my kids ready because I wanted to be on live. And it's just in the background playing. So it's just like, who the hell knows what he's saying?
It's such a, he would go live every single day. And that in turn inspired us to also go live every single day. And it would be a big deal. Your life, like it was the priority to be with your multi-level marketing business, your network marketing business took second priority to what was going on in Rank Makers because we held him in such high esteem. We really looked up to him. We really believed that he cared about us. We really believed that he was going to give us the secret tools to success. That out of all of his experiences, out of all of these things, out of all of these people that he has, important people, rich people that he's been around, and all these mentors and coaches, he's going to show up every day in a live just for us in this secret group. You feel really a part of something so special. And I think, when you are wondering, it's like, well, how do people get sucked into multi-level marketing companies? How do people get sucked into cults? So when you have the multi-level marketing industry that it continues to exist, it's now spawning off all this other stuff. So you see this also with like just life coaching industry as well. You've got the multi-level marketing coaching industry now that's embedded. And now you see Jessie Lee Ward able to just blatantly talk about this on social media as if there's nothing wrong. And you see how grotesque that behavior is, where it has become normalized. Ray was like, it was secret. It was a secret group. Yeah. Rank Makers was a secret group. You couldn't even get into it. Now it's like wide open. You can enter it whenever you want. But they would go through cycles.
It was open. It would open up during certain times of the year. And he would say, Rank Makers is open. Put it on your Facebook. Invite your teams. Oh my gosh, I forgot that Rank Makers was closed.
Yeah, Rank Makers would only open during special times. So it kind of reminds me now of like LuLaRoe when they would have this, they would create this FOMO, and you think you need to get your teams into there. So it was I mean, it was very carefully done, but you see what's going on now with these other multi-level marketing coaches.
Oh yeah, because every day on the Ray Daily, there would be an action step. And if you weren't watching the Ray Daily and doing the action step, and then that wasn't why that was why you weren't doing well. And think about it, you were expected to not only do everything for your leaders in your MLM, you're supposed to watch the Ray Daily, do the action step, but also there's this other effed up piece, because he would tell you that in order to grow your network marketing business, you're supposed to go for 20 no's a day, do a live video every day, and work on yourself. But then you're also supposed to watch the Ray Daily and do the Ray Daily action step, which was sometimes, I mean, often it was anything from write down your goals to do a live video to make a dance video and post it in here celebrating yourself. But really, it was just a bunch of videos of people dancing for him, very similar to the people who dance outside of Keith Raniere's cell in Brooklyn. Like, thinking about that is insane.
So yeah, people might not know about this. This is another aspect.
You go ahead. You're the Celebration Friday queen. You were.
First off, big shout out to Jana Miller, who is dropping all these amazing YouTube creators links, anti-MLM creators. Like, everybody's doing a really good job. I mean, there's so many powerful creators going on, and I fuck up, I continue to fuck up, and I want to improve, and just add my voice. So just thank you to everyone, and thank you, Janet. So in Rank Makers, you're starting to see like a feel. You've heard Jen describe how, as an inner circle coach, like, she's noticed from Ray by crafting a story in the language and the format, the template that he likes, because he can duplicate that, and he can hold her up as an example. Say, everybody, this is what I want.
Did a Ray Daily on it. Here's the template. Before, what happened? What was after? He did a Ray Daily on it that I would tag clients in. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So Jen is tagging clients in these videos that Ray is making, and she gets to be so well versed in the whole library of this man's content, because he's not only going live once a day in this one group. Sometimes he's going live multiple times a day in Rank Makers, in Inner Circle Coaching, on his public page, all over the place. And Jen is so, servant leader, serving her clients, going to like be the best, knows somebody has a question about prospecting, I'm going to tag them in that video. Somebody has a question about mindset, I'm going to tag them in this video. So she's like doing all this stuff. This is just one piece of the freaking one piece of Rank Makers. And you heard about the daily live video every day that he's doing. We're all tuning in. Claire was saying, it's like, you feel like you're really missing out. You're not going to do well if you don't show up live, because there's this energy, there's this magic. We're a part of something special. We're changing the industry. On top of this, there's this other weird piece where they'd have these Friday dance videos. So this was what it was that and it changed. This is how I interpreted it anyway. When I joined in 2017, you could upload a video. You could only upload a video of yourself once a week, and it could only be of you dancing, because you couldn't promote your company. You couldn't promote anything, because they were very strict, and we thought this was a lot of integrity. There's no prospecting in Rank Makers. We are all part of the multi-level marketing industry from all these different companies. We're brothers and sisters in this. No prospecting. Have some integrity, people. But on Friday, you can celebrate your successes. Even if your success it could be like just getting out of bed. Although I did see that change over time, where it should be, you should have prospected people, or you should have gained a customer. It always seemed to be blurry. But every Friday, to celebrate, it was called Celebration Friday, you were encouraged to upload a video of you dancing into the group. And I did it every day. As soon as it started, I was like, for the 5 years I was in there, I did that video longer than I did the daily Facebook Live videos every day, which is 3.5 years.
You're being modest. You were the face of the 14-day challenge, and back me up if there's any ex-rank makers in here. You were the face of the 14-day challenge and Celebration Friday. Like, there are friends of ours, like Michelle and myself, who tried to keep up, but like we were, Julie Anderson was the dancing queen.
You have any questions about, I'm the expert. I was this fucking deep. I danced every Friday. These are my qualifications.
This was growing your network marketing business.
This is growing my network marketing. How embarrassing is this? You see how uncomfortable this is for people to talk out. And it's so important to have these conversations, to laugh, to be able to laugh at it, but then to like own it and own how like uncomfortable it is, because it is weird. And then if he commented on your video, oh my God, like you'd have even more fucking shine. Like you were like, I'm amazing. All you fuckers. I'm fucking like, what were we part of? This is the mind. So this, like, if you think of people getting multi-level marketing coaching and you think, okay, they've had this, what it appears to be this horrible abusive thing happen to them. We don't see it that way. We're getting all this weird mind fuckery going on that you don't even have a clue about.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Oh, but anyway, it's just a small peek of all the stuff we were having to do. So you're told you got to listen to the Ray Daily, do the action step. You also have to go for 20 no's a day. This is every day. You're thinking in your mind, I've got to do these things every day. I've got to go for 20 no's. I've got to do a live video, and I have to work on myself. And that doesn't include everything else you're doing in MLM. It also, for myself and some others, didn't include, maybe you were doing the 14-day challenge during that time. So you also you could count that as your live video. But if you wanted to do a live video about your company, or like you couldn't, there were different challenges in the 14-day challenge that were very specific topics that you didn't have control over what you said in the 14-day challenge. You had to follow the daily topics. And when you first joined this, you're like, this is structured, this is great. But now looking back, you're just a mouthpiece for his group, and you had to do hashtag 14-day challenge, hashtag anti-authority, which even towards the end, there was a TikTok challenge because Ray, got on TikTok because he's an opportunist. And he, the hashtag people were supposed to use on TikTok was hashtag Ray Talk, RAYTOK. And that is still on TikTok. I've searched it, and they're all the same. You want to see culty? Now, don't go commenting on these people's videos. Please do not shame them. But if you want to see mind control, I have searched that hashtag. It's the same video over and over and over and over, because there's no creative liberty, Aw.
Here's a good question from Savannah Marie. I'm not totally well versed with rank makers. Were you guys paying money for any of this?
So,
how about her, Jen? How about
$20 a month. And Ray had told us that he made it that price. It's worth a lot more. What you're going to get in this group is priceless, but he made it that way, he claimed, because he didn't want it to take away from you investing in your network marketing business. He wanted a low price point so you could invite your teams and not feel bad about them not buying the $20 shampoo because they were paying for rank makers, implying that like he's aware that people are having to buy product and that the distributors are the real customers, right? So then there was that. Then you got funneled into, well, actually first, before I get there, then later on during the pandemic, he did create a lifer option for rank makers where you didn't have to pay monthly. You could pay, I think it was $297. and you were just in the group regardless for life, because MLM loves to make people lifers. Then from there, you were funneled into, and I know you're not really, I don't know if you're asking about every program, but
I think it's good to say this because people don't know, like they don't know the scale and scope of what these coaching groups are. And Rank Makers is the next level. So add 14-day challenge, goal guided power group, inner circle coaching. I'd like all. Let them know. Yeah.
So it starts with Rank Makers, but and the other thing too is you would get a random call. You joined Inner Circle at the event, right? At the Rank
yes,
Makers
I
Live
did.
event. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I didn't. I got a random phone call from a sales guy that was like, "Hey, we've noticed you in the group, and you seem like someone who's ready to take it to the next level. And so the next level is reserved for people who want to make 6 figures or more in their multi-level marketing business. Does that sound like you?" And it was this whole sales call. And I bought in right away because that was the next level for me. So I was like in the middle of my compensation plan. And well, actually it's not, but it was sold to me. I was told when I joined Arbonne that if I just made it to the Mercedes level, I'd have time, money, freedom. So in my brain, it was the 6-figure income. It did not end up being like that. But so I was pitched Inner Circle coaching and I thought, this is what I need. It's like the next level. That is anywhere. I paid $5,000 for that. And you get one-on-one coaching, again, with coaches that are not certified, that are not even making 6 figures in their business. I didn't know this when I joined, because these coaches are put on pedestals. I was put on a pedestal when I became a coach. I put myself on a pedestal. like that's just real talk. I thought I was the shit.
You still are the shit. You still are the shit. It's like,
I mean, in a culty way, I thought I was the shit. But so that's anywhere from 5,000, but there's larger packages. I had people, I was actually given, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but like I was given the more difficult clients because I could turn them around after a certain time. Yes, Julie was my client, if that says anything.
Guess what? They were right.
No, it's so true. But I had clients towards like in the last year, like during the pandemic, who weren't even in MLM. I had people in real estate, people who were looking to take like, I had someone who was a dance teacher, and because like dance studios and stuff like had shut down, they were just looking to market their business online. How do I set up a Zoom? How do I teach dance classes on, like, I was doing that. And I remember thinking like, this is kind of cool at first, but then also being like, I'm not qualified to coach someone in real estate. But they paid for the coaching, so here I am. But those people, I believe, were charged more. I was told that some of the clients on my docket were paying like upwards of $20,000 a month, if not more. And I was told that like, you got to make sure you keep them in because they've spent this much money. So there was pressure put on me to keep them in, keep them happy, which, I mean, they're paying customers. I agree with that. Like, take care of them. They're your customers. But anyway, so then from there, Ray also sells the 14-day challenge, which, do you remember how much the 14-day challenge was, Julie?
They would change in prices. I know if you were a rank maker, it could be like $7 or $14. It always seemed really reasonable. And then
it was always different. You're right.
It would change, and it would be like, okay, we're going to open up this next 14-day challenge, which was a 14-day live video challenge, which you would form another group on top of rank makers. And so we can just talk about the pricing of this. But then as it would get closer to the date of this launch of this challenge, the price would go up. And then it was like for if you are outside of rank makers, it was another price on like different. It could be $27 or $97. I know he would upsell as well. Like click on this if you want to absolutely smash and crush your network marketing business, or no, I want to stay in Sucksville. You're like, oh, I want to get this package of amazing bonuses because Ray always delivers. He always over delivers and charges us so little. So it could be like $7, $14, $27, $97, like just for the 14-day challenge.
Oh God, I'm so glad that when I was like, how the fuck much was it? Like, I don't remember. It changed. You're right. Okay, so there was that. There was also a guided goal power group. That was like $297. And it was like a 6-week kind of like all in, like it was basically the same. All of this stuff is like the same shit, with the exception of maybe the 14-day challenge, which was primarily focused on video marketing. But the rest of the groups and courses were just like repurposed, like stuff that he had already said in Rank Makers or Inner Circle. The other thing I forgot to mention about Inner Circle too is, so I've got these clients paying $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, right? I'm making, and I was a higher paid coach, and I had to ask for a raise after 3 years. I was making $24 a session. So people,
how long was your session? How long was a session? What was a session?
Anywhere from a half an hour to an hour. So it was $24 a session. There were times that I got promised a little bit more if I took a more difficult client. But honestly, I never looked. I never looked to make sure that I was paid that. And that I'll take responsibility for. There's a lot of shit that I could have been better about. I mean, we all coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I never looked to be sure that I was paid more when I said yes to those things. One in particular, I had dental surgery. This was actually a key piece of me being like, fuck this shit. I had dental surgery December. It's so weird how the stars aligned. It was December 2021. And a friend of mine started speaking out in December 2021. And I was hopped up on pain meds. No, I wasn't hopped up on pain meds, but I had gone through surgery, and I was in pain, and I was scrolling on TikTok, and I was able to binge a lot of her content during that time. Which was sort of weird how that aligned. But also, I had just gotten back from surgery, and I got a call from my boss within the Higdon Group. It was not Ray, who was like, oh, we've got this difficult client. She's worked with this coach and this coach. Is there any way you can get on a call at 1:00 today? It's the only time that she's available, and take her call. And if you turn her around, there's a bonus in it for you. Honestly, I think it was maybe a $250 bonus, 150. I don't even remember, something like that. And me being like the good little obedient coach that I was, I'm like, oh, but then also I'm in pain. I can barely talk. So I said to him, I'm like, listen, I just had dental surgery. I can barely talk. He's like, well, if you're willing to do it, you don't even have to do much talking. Just listen. She probably just needs someone to listen to her. And I remember I was in so much pain, and the call went on for almost 2 hours because she's like venting, and I realized like I could have stopped the call and said, but I'm like in pain. And I remember getting off the call and thinking, like having one of those awareness moments, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is not time freedom. I just had dental surgery. Would this have happened in a regular job? I took the time off. They knew. I told them ahead of time. I moved all my calls. I told them ahead of time I was going to have dental surgery on these 2 dates. That's the other thing. If you ever had anything, you had to be the one to move your calls. I rescheduled all my calls, and they still took advantage of it. And I let them. So the point of that was just to share that these people are paying all this money for this coaching, and the coaches are getting paid peanuts, basically. A lot of people don't know how little the coaches get paid for those large coaching packages. And I had people tell me, why don't you just become a coach on your own? And that's what I was moving toward, honestly, because I'd woken up from MLM and I thought, I'm going to do this coaching thing because that's the natural progression, isn't it, in these cults? I had even told my Arbonne leaders, I'm going to go all in on coaching. I'm not going to renew with Arbonne in March. And they were like, whatever you got to, they were actually okay at that point, because I don't think they really thought I was going to leave. But anyway, did that answer your question, Savannah?
I think it's important to hear, like, it's not just a straightforward question.
Thank you for asking it.
I was paying $1,000 a month, but I didn't add it up like that, because it's all these hidden things. So you're paying $20 a month for Rank Makers. And then I thought, for me though, I thought that he had like $100 option when the pandemic like hit. For some reason, that's what I'm thinking, that I paid for this Rank Makers lifer. But maybe I'm misremembering it. That is entirely possible.
Oh, maybe.
But then the prices change, right?
Yeah.
So $20
I think you're right. I think when it first launched, it was $99, and then it went up to like $197 and then $297 even.
Yeah. And so, and I think now it might be like $25 a month. But then there's always these additional things that you are like, if you really want to get these, I've got these brand new strategies for Instagram and for Facebook Reels. And this is going to blow your mind. We're bringing in 5 special guests to do this training. And this is going to be the Prospecting and Duplication Summit. And it's only $77. And then we're going to do a 14-day challenge every quarter, which is going to cost, who knows, $7, $27, whatever, which there will be an upsell of like $97, get all these other bonuses, access to more Facebook groups. Then there's this goal-guided power group. I also purchased that. They also have a merch shop. The Higdon Group sold ring lights, t-shirts, 14-day challenge t-shirts, which of course you're going to buy at the end of every challenge, because you feel even more special because you're in another subgroup of this massive cult, that you've gone through this together, of these 14 days of Ray yelling at you, telling you what to do. And if you do well in a video or not, there's something wrong. you're given attention, and it's also like you're also diminished and mocked. But you buy the t-shirts, you buy the prospecting journals, you spend all this money, it's only $7. Are you going to complain about the shipping? You can't even get this quality vegan leather backpack that we are selling for you. This is the exact same vegan leather backpack that you will find in New York. You could go to Macy's and you're not going to get the exact same leather vegan. Like, this is what he said. I bought all this stuff on top of it. And there's the events.
Super VIP box that you have to attend the event.
Yes. And that we didn't even discuss the cost of the event that Rank Makers would hold, which was called Rank Makers Live. So there's the associated costs of flying there, getting a hotel. Of course, there's going to be a special discount if you type in the discount that Ray gives you, which he's probably getting a kickback from. And then you're going to purchase, like, what is the ticket going to cost? Well, general admission is one thing. Do you want to be VIP or super VIP? That gets you even closer access to Ray and all these other $1 million earners, because you become like the 5 most people you spend. This is not even about your multi-level marketing company. This is just Rank Makers. And then there's the Inner Circle coaching, which I was paying $800 a month for a year. That's US, $800 a month, US on top of it. I was paying easily $1,000 a month, US, while I was in Rank Makers, especially when I was taking Inner Circle coaching.
And if you ever complained that there was too much training, then that's your mindset. You are stuck in learning mode. But how does anybody ever have, hi, Michelle, how does anyone ever have enough time to do all of these things? You could never, that was a very common question that we would ask Ray in the Inner Circle coaches meetings. We have clients who are saying there's too much training, and he would yell at us as coaches, well, you're doing too much training. Okay. And then, or it would be, well, that's it's a mindset issue. You've got to coach them on, tell them to be defiant to their mindset or something like that. But it was always their fault, not the fact that he's spamming you with so many programs and shaming you to sign up because you think that he's selling it to you like this next thing. If you miss out on this next thing, that's why you're stuck in Sucksville.
Want to have a crack at that?
Imagine. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people are told it's not an expense and it's an investment, yep. And they're actively discouraged from looking at if the one person in the group does a profit and loss statement, they are told to ignore that because it is not a business expense. This is an investment in their future. And this is what we believe. People do. We think of it, it's going to pay off in time. It's not an expense. Sure, it's going to hurt right now, but this is an opportunity that I need to get in on this training. They're going to bring in Grant Cardone. They're going to bring in all this coach from this other multi-level marketing company that has just exploded on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah. What were you mentioned like his Instagram strategies. What were his Instagram strategies, Julie?
His Instagram strategies, which he posted on his one of his most recent blog posts, I think it was like January. It was either January 30th or January 3rd. I don't know. It's in January of this year anyway, was to steal other people's Instagram reels and post them to your own account. And then you tag them because that's giving them credit. And he was astonished that he was making like $10,000 a month. This is written in his own words on his blog. And he said, I was so surprised at how much money I'm making. I'm just taking other people's content and it's like free money. I'm not even selling anything. But he said, Instagram doesn't really like that. They just, even though I'm giving them credit, I don't know why they have a problem with it. I've had a couple of strikes against my account. It's like he doesn't see anything wrong with stealing other people's account content and using it on Instagram. He calls it repurposing, and he's teaching that. What you can do as an Instagram strategy is to repurpose other people's content. So they could be taking, say you have a viral video that, you're on TikTok, maybe you're like, I'm going to pop it over onto Instagram and see how that goes. It goes off. Somebody in network marketing coached by Ray could be taking your content and posting it to their Instagram and making money. And they feel there's nothing wrong with that because maybe they tagged you and that's enough. Yeah, that's one of his strategies, one of his many strategies, ethical strategies. And we all think, we don't see, we might feel it. Like, when you were saying, Jen, there was like these piercing things that get through. You had dental surgery. You have to be on this phone call with somebody for 2 hours. And it's like, this isn't right. But we don't have the space to explore that like cognitive dissonance. It's there. We can see it looking back, but it's like those moments, they do get through. They're getting through now and then. And then eventually, like, we wake up and we get out.
Yeah, there was, looking back, this was only something that I put together in hindsight, but when Clubhouse launched, so the other thing too is, as we're talking about different platforms, is like Ray would do then specific trainings on every platform, and you wanted to get in on the TikTok training and you wanted to get in on the Instagram secrets and whatever. Well, one of them was Clubhouse, because during the pandemic, the Clubhouse was released and it was like this exclusive thing because only iPhone users, whatever. And I remember Ray saying, like, whoever gets good on Clubhouse, speaking to like the coaches and kind of more of his inner circle, like his marketeers and everything, whoever gets good on Clubhouse, like, we want to feature you. So there was one of his employees that got really good on Clubhouse, and she was spending like so much time on there that myself and another coach, we were just like I'm out, because I'm not willing to, spend all that time on there just to learn it. Right. Well, then he used her following and her connections that she built on that platform. He asked her to, but he then glommed onto her, had her running his Clubhouse rooms. And this is one of the cracks that started for me, is he would, at like a moment's notice, he'd be like, we're going to do a Clubhouse room at 1:00. And which coaches can be on. And of course, you're always vying for a position in all of these things, a rank, if you will. And so all the coaches are like, we're all obedient. We're all like worshipful, obedient employees. We're not even really employees, but, and so we're like, yeah, I'll be on. And I remember we would get on Clubhouse, and this happened like a good 4 or 5 times before it finally pissed me off. He'd say 1:00, and there'd be a room full of people waiting to hear like this information from him. He wouldn't show up. And there'd be a chat thread like on Facebook or something in the background, like, oh, Ray's running late, or just stall until he comes, just keep answering questions. So it'd be like Ray Higdon's Clubhouse room. We'd all be sitting there answering the questions. He'd like mosey on in, and he would answer one question. He'd drone on for half an hour, and then he'd be like, you guys are rock stars. Oh, I gotta go. I got a meeting. Like, he dropped some, like, I got a meeting with a billionaire. I mean, I am sort of exaggerating, but it was basically that. And he'd hop off, and then everyone would say, they'd take a picture of the Clubhouse, like, because you were encouraged to take a screenshot of the Clubhouse room you're in. They would post it to their social, and they would tag Ray in it, not any of the people who were actually stalling and providing the value in the room. Maybe they would tag you, but it would be like, amazing rank makers room, Ray killed it. And I started to think, Ray like fucking popped on there for a half an hour, answered one question, and now rank makers is tagged everywhere. And when I brought that up in a coach's meeting, it was like, like you had mentioned, I was made to feel like, well, you should just be grateful to be in his room. You're speaking on his stage, because Clubhouse was treated like you were speaking on his stage. And then from that moment on, it took me like 5 sessions, but I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing any more Clubhouse meetings. But that was a very early, as far as like seeing the cracks in Ray went, where I was like, this dude is just using us. And I didn't put that together till later, where I was like, I did see it then, but why? Well, it wasn't enough, you know.
It's another one that got through, you know, and so it's like that one story of just how he uses people's Instagram content and how he uses people's stories. I want to like just give a story, but not mention anybody's names. But first, I want to just shout out Michelle Culberson, because she was the reality show Play to Win winner, season 1. She won a year's coaching with Ray. She's got a lot to say.
I remember this comment here. I remember this. I concur with her. This happened. He did shame people who weren't on there yet just because they used a Droid phone.
And so, something to give you another idea, because it's like stories exhibit this, and we've been telling a lot of stories about our experiences within rank makers, and more people are. There was someone, he really likes to use people's stories of abuse and trauma and use it to sell rank makers coaching and to join rank makers. And he used one individual's story of abuse. It was particularly graphic, and he had them go up on stage at Rank Makers Live and also on live videos to retell the story of abuse, which has nothing to do with Rank Makers or with Ray Higdon's coaching. And they would tell this story in detail, even though there was great discomfort doing it, but they were up on the stage beside Ray. And then they would like attribute like, oh, this is how low I was. Thank goodness I found network marketing. I did all these horrible things to get money. And now, thank goodness I found network marketing and Ray. And he uses this. This is so predatory. I mean, the words like revulsion and horror, they just don't describe it, because it's calculated. He hasn't done this with just one person. He did this with his reality show as well. He coached people to tell their stories of abuse and trauma, childhood abuse that has nothing to do with network marketing, and to make it worse, to go deeper, to share it publicly with everyone. And then now talk about it, and then go out on social media and start recruiting people into your network marketing business, because you now are not going to be helping people. You're not going to be impacting the world. You're not going to be showing up powerfully. You're going to be letting people down if you don't do this. And what he was teaching everyone is emotional manipulation. And the thing is none of us realized that we were doing it. And it's another layer that when you get out, You're just trying to understand why you're a part of a pyramid scheme. You can't, how do you even begin to unpack how your mind has been messed with, such to the point that you've taught people, these people that are up on the stage that have these organizations and these teams, they have done this coaching. They think that they're going to show up differently. They're part of this really special group, a special breed. How do you start reconciling like that? Where you're like, oh my God, I told that person to just go live on Facebook and tell this horrible story because that's going to show up vulnerable. It's so much.
And people wonder why these victims like don't speak out. What you can say you wouldn't speak out, or that you would speak out. Oh, if that was me, I'd sue and I'd this and that. This is what we're talking about. No, you wouldn't, because you would have these stories used against you. And this is exactly why we're saying these things have to be met with such sensitivity, because there are stories that have probably been shared with Jessie Lee the same way they were shared with Ray. And who knows if she doesn't have collateral over those people. Now, that's speculation. I am not suggesting that. I'm just saying that we don't know. There's a lot we don't know. And that's why it's so important.
But she does have the same grandiosity and that narcissistic behavior, like using narcissism as an adjective, not as a diagnosis, where she has no problem dropping these really like emotionally triggering words, describing horrible things to get attention and to like make it almost like this mic drop moment to like nobody will talk about anything. Ray does it with everything. Nazi prisoner camps, like abuse, trigger warnings of every single thing that could possibly happen. She does the same thing. And I saw this where she was talking about somebody that says, well, this person that went on this retreat with me, she talks openly about it. And so I can talk openly about it. And she's dropping the P word for predator repeatedly, very heated. It's like, this is manipulation. This is not okay behavior to be lording that kind of information. You don't talk publicly about anybody in your multi-level marketing company. This is what's going on. It is not just a matter of somebody having one experience, 7 days go wrong. It isn't seen like that at all. It's seen as a gift. Everything that you're giving, you're so grateful for. You were weak. You were a judgmental person. You were a terrible person before you even got into network marketing and then came into Jessie Lee's or Ray's world, and they have helped you. You still have so much work to do. You will forever be coachable because you're a student. And if you keep showing up, you're going to improve, and you've got to quell those negative thoughts. And I got to give more money. It wouldn't even occur to them that anything has gone wrong. And all you see on the outside is it's just hate, because that's what it looked like to me. I couldn't even understand when people were saying, I think you're in something really sketchy. I'm like, what I heard is, I'm like, you're crazy. You need to get out. And I'm like, they're so filled with hate. I couldn't even hear what people are saying. That's how deep it went for me. And I believe it goes that deep for other people too. What do you think, Jen?
I'll just share a story. I went to 10X. We've discussed, like, Michelle is a friend of ours, Julie, the three of us have discussed, like, I left a cult within a cult within a cult within a cult. I was trained by, I graduated from Tony Robbins Mastery University. I invested in all of Tony Robbins programs. I attended 10X, Grant Cardone's live event, representing Ray and Rankmakers and the Higdon Group. So, I mean, I went to GoPro Recruiting Mastery as Eric Warre's special guest, which, whatever that is, that sounds so creepy. But I just, another illustration of how deep in. So if you have anybody in your life who seems so deep into one of these things and you're like, I don't think they'll ever get out, I hope my story gives you hope. But I was going to say that at 10X, oh shit, what was I going to say? What was it about 10X? What did you just say?
You're going to 10X. I don't know.
Oh, shoot. I can't remember. You were saying, I don't remember now. It'll come back. It'll come back.
Here's something. Michelle is leaving. Bye, Michelle. Bye.
Hi, Michelle.
This is a question. Does anyone know if women leave cults at a higher rate than men, or maybe women tend to be more vocal, open about it afterwards? I don't know, especially with multi-level marketing. I know this is something that I had been thinking about though. Like there's more women statistically in multi-level marketing than men. However, this is where, and I think this is another one of these conversations where they're like, there was a lot more men involved in Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme than women. Like maybe it's the same reason why there's more men involved. Like I think it's important to have the discussions of like gender and like what's going on socially and all this stuff. But a scam is a scam, and a red flag, these cult red flags, these blind spots that we have of just wanting to think that we've found the magic solution. These people that are on Wall Street, they know exactly what's going on with Herbalife. They don't care. They're profiting off it. So I think eroding things from the bottom, like with let's grassroots anti-MLM movement, is really helpful because we're connecting with each other, virtually, but like one-on-one, we can relate to each other more so than trying to go up against like, in a live video about somebody up on Wall Street or these powerful lobby groups that do these presentations saying they're direct selling industry. Anyway, that's my totally convoluted attempt at answering that. Do you have anything to add to that, Jen?
I remembered what I was going to say. I was going to say when I was at 10X, and that event is super culty. There's like fire and like Grant Cardone has all his like Scientology cronies, like John Travolta spoke at it, Will Smith, like it's crazy culty. And I was posting on social media. I had a friend who reached out to me and was like, where are you? Like, what are you? And this was a close friend. Yes, I can talk about that. This was a close friend. And like you were saying, you think it's all hate. Like you can't hear anything that people say to you. And so she was like, who is this guy? Where are you? What are you doing? Like, I'm kind of worried. And I was just like, ha ha ha. And I didn't say what his name was. I said, he's a real estate billionaire. That's what I said. And she was like, and I'm like, she made a joke and she was like, and I'm a monkey's uncle or something like that. She was like, what does that mean? Who is it? And I was like, it's Grant Cardone. Like, look him up. So she went and looked him up. And then she came back to me and she was like, this dude is crazy. Like, why are you there? And I remember I was like, oh, ha ha. And I made like a joke about it. Cause in my mind, like you're saying, I was like, she doesn't get it. She's on the outside. I'm on the inside. And how gross that I was like, oh, he's a billionaire. Like that's the mindset I was in. Like, it doesn't matter. He could have been, like you were saying, like a predator, and but he's a real estate billionaire. So, yeah, I attended 10X for rank makers, and I went with another coach. And
how did that, can you just briefly explain why you went off and represented Ray or rank makers? Like, how did that shake out? How is that even possible?
It's so funny because coming out of these things, you think you can answer a simple question, but then you're like, no, well, she's got to know this and this. And there's like 15 steps leading up to it. Okay, so the guided goal power group that we had talked about, and I know, Claire, you probably are aware of this, but like Ray had put out a challenge that anybody who created this video, like edifying the challenge and him, whoever did the best video would get to take themselves and a guest to Grant Cardone's 10X event in a diamond seat, which was worth $10,000. And so the person who won, she won because she said that she would take one of his inner circle coaches with. And she took me with. And so we attended on behalf of rank makers. We had to wear rank maker stuff. We got to sit in the front row. Like, I was this close to getting Usher to sweat on me. I seriously thought I was like, it was like a giant like party. I mean, you're just so the LGAT, large group awareness training. I mean, like everything like checks all the boxes. It's nuts. There's celebrities, fire, music. It's nuts. So the reason why Ray was giving away these tickets is because he had been asked, he had a charity event. He had to throw that in here because I'm such a great person. I'm choosing to attend this charity event instead of going to Grant Cardone's 10X event. So I'm going to give you the tickets. So we attend, but who knows if he already knew this was happening or not. But at some point he learns that he was asked to speak at the event. So he gets up there, and this is when he came up with his whole ILT EIE, which stands for invest, learn, teach, educate, or execute, inform, edify. So you invest in something, you learn it, and then you teach it. That's ILT. So this other part, execute, means you do the thing. So say you learned to do a Facebook Live. Sure, you can teach it to your team, but you also have to do the Facebook Live. So that's the execute part. The inform is you tell the person you learned it from that you did it. So Ray, in your 14-day challenge, I learned how to do a Facebook Live. I taught it to my team. I did the Facebook Live and I'm letting you know. Okay. And then edify would be to share it publicly. So to create a post that says, I just was in Ray Higdon's 14-day challenge. It was so amazing and life-changing and blah, blah, blah. Because if you do that, ILTEIE, he said that was his blueprint on how he got on Grant Cardone's stage. And he said, you can do this too, because he invested in Grant's coaching. He learned it. He taught it to rank makers. He executed on the coaching that Grant gave him, which was like for his event. Instead of having a small event, Grant told him to break all his contracts and his word with people and have this huge giant LGAT training instead. So he executed, he informed Grant that he did that, and then he edified Grant. He spoke about Grant everywhere. Oh my God, I invested $100,000 in Grant Cardone's training, and within 30 minutes, I made $1 million or whatever. Remember what it was? So yeah, putting him in the seat. Yeah, yes. So he's teaching us how to do this. And again, this is like a long drawn out answer, but I feel like everyone needs to know the backstory. So then he gets up on stage and what does he do? He uses the exact template that he taught us. And so in your mind, when you're in the group, you're like, oh, wow. Like, and you do this in MLMs too. Like he's walking the walk. He's doing the do, or what does John Maxwell say? You can't do the do unless you've done the did. So he's on stage and he says, I invested $100,000 in Grant's coaching. Well, before Grant, actually, sorry, I missed a part. He says, before Grant, I was $1 million in debt, personal foreclosure, sleeping on my buddy's couch. My girlfriend was paying all my bills, invested $100,000 in Grant's coaching, and made $1 million at our event. And at the time, when I'm sitting in the audience of 10X in the front row recording Ray, oh my God, look at our mentor, posting it on my social media, posting it in Inner Circle Coaching, posting it in Rank Makers saying, look at Ray, he's so amazing. Everybody in Rank Makers cheer for him. I did this shit. Looking back at that video, I'm like with the clarity that you have when you wake up, I'm like, wait a second. He's claiming that Grant's coaching is the thing that got him out of $1 million in debt, personal foreclosure, sleeping on his buddy's couch, girlfriend paying his bills. But I thought it was network marketing that did that. I thought it was real estate that did that. And all of a sudden, like Julie and Michelle and I, like we've pieced together like how many times he has told this exact story just to edify whatever mentor he has to get from them what he wants. And he does this to everybody in his life, allegedly, in my opinion. Get from them what he needs or wants, and then just like write them off. And there's somebody, I don't know if it was Yanya Lalich or who said this, but they said something like, oh no, I think it was Nancy on season 2 of The Vow, said like the worst part wasn't, was realizing that Keith didn't love or care about anyone. Keith only cared about himself.
Yeah.
And you really do believe that Ray cares about you, wants to see you successful. And when you piece it all together, you're like, no, he really just cares about himself and his own influence and power and privilege and business and what have you.
Yes. I remember when you and so there was this other, spending all this money on things, this goal guided power group, which there was no, how long did these would show up every once in a while too, kind of like quarterly at the end of 14-day challenges, weren't they?
Yeah. So the thing about guided goal was it started January
guided
2020.
goal.
Guided goal power group started January 2020. So this is pre-pandemic. Okay. As far as the US is concerned. And then because the US is the only country, right? That's not what I mean. But I mean like US and Canada, North America is concerned. So it was January 2020 and he had these tickets to give away. So that first guided goal was like this really big deal. But then I don't know, they were under the delusion that it went so well that I think they started doing them twice a year. So this is on top. So you've got 14-day challenge quarterly, 4 times a year, and then you've got guided goal twice a year.
Which is it's a hefty investment. That was like $300 or something like that on top of it. I know a lot of us in Inner Circle purchased that and there was nothing in it. Like Inner Circle was kind of like the crown jewel of all the coaching because you have access to everything. There was no need for us to do that. But I remember Ray doing a video training in Inner Circle saying, well, like it's definitely worth it to get in there, something like that. And that's why I also purchased that. I'm like, there's nothing else in here. But I still forked over the money.
Yeah. And well, after that first, so then they ran another one and I think they did one in 2021. And it just after he didn't give away anything else. I think that first one, if you could say any of them had any sort of excitement or were anything to be a part of, it was the first one because he gave away those $10,000 tickets.
And so you think of people that are now, a lot of these people are already paying Inner Circle coaching. They invest even more money into this group that's open for a short time. You're going to get all this intensive training from the coaches and Ray will go live and it'll just be more of the same recruiting, prospecting, doing a live video, doing personal development. And within like all the things that you learn during this special time period that you're within this group now, what your final homework assignment is to do a video selling this group and how amazing the coaching that you receive from Ray. Be sure to tag him. Be sure to put it all over social media. Be concise, be coherent. Make sure you edify him. And so you've paid to get into this group. Now you work to create this video to sell him. And then the winner is chosen. And then that is used to sell more coaches. And then this person that wins now is given these tickets to attend and represent rank makers and to plaster all over social media how happy and grateful they are that they're going to go. And then they ask Jen to attend with them. So now you have 2 people from within rank makers that's put all this money in. This is like this other level of sunk cost fallacy that we're not even aware of.
And I'm getting further. I'm basically getting indoctrinated against my will by Grant Cardone too. I mean, I almost signed, the person that I went with signed up for a program that Grant sold. I mean, and so it's weird. And then it's just also you join this group when we talk about consent and going to these retreats, like you join Guided Goal because you want to grow your network marketing business. And then like, it's a 6-week group. Week 5, you realize that it's all leading up to, this has nothing to do with growing my business. Has to do with proselytizing for Ray. So the pinnacle challenge is create a video edifying us and all the value you got. No, if you gave me so much value, I'd want to naturally, leave that testimony. But that's the thing with these, is you join under the impression, the same thing with Play to Win. Look at that whole show. Those contestants submit, and I guess I can't speak on their behalf, but from what I gather, because I felt the same, like they signed up for that show not because they wanted to, they thought they were going to grow their network marketing business. And the whole thing, you can see the language. People get shamed because, oh, you talked all about yourself. How are you going to grow the Higdon Group? Well, wait a second. I thought this reality show was about growing my network marketing business. And here, and especially in that first season, because they were supposed to be, they had the choice of, did they have the choice of coaching or a job? No, in the first season.
The first season was choice between a job or coaching, and the second season it was just a job. I remember that. Yeah.
But so some of these people are there because they want coaching. They have no interest in furthering the mission of the Higdon Group. They're like, no, I'm here because I'm going to get coaching for my business. And then here they are shamed that you didn't talk about the Higdon Group enough. Like, what did I join?
Yeah. I wanted to add to with Claire, and Claire has left the conversation. I scrolled down. I was like, thank you everybody that has been watching and had to leave. When I was part of that Goal Guided Power group, and I didn't participate in that final challenge because I thought it was stupid. But like, it's so weird because I was still paying money. I was still in this, but it was all these piercing insights. And that was one of them for me. I'm like, this is dumb. Like, nothing happened. Like, I don't have any amazing success. I didn't sign up 10 new Monate market partners or anything. So I'm like, well, whatever. And he would do this final challenge was always the same at the 14-day challenge. It's about doing live videos. Why wouldn't the very last video be about doing all the things you learned on a live video? Because it's not about becoming better at doing live videos. It's the last assignment is the same as the Goal Guided Power group. Edify the Higdon Group, say how much you've learned, why other people should join, and make it into this like a recorded video. So when I saw this go on, and then he was speaking at Grant Cardone's event, he built it up within Rank Makers, saying, you're gonna see me how it's done. I'm gonna wear all Grant's 10x stuff. He had the 10x hat, he had the 10x shirt, jacket, everything, all the swag. And he says, I'm going to edify him like crazy. Everything that has ever happened in my life, I'm going to attribute to him. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's just, you're going to see this is how it's done. It's going to be mind blowing. And all of us were really excited. We're like, wow, this is so amazing. And so I know from my perspective, when I was just watching it, online and seeing him, I found like the MC just cut him off. Like Ray was about to like slide into his shtick. And the MC was like, can you just say it? And he said his whole thing, but he said it really quickly. And it was like, I was $1 million in debt, personal foreclosure, sleeping on my buddy's couch. My girlfriend was paying my bills. Like, it was this. And then I earned, and then I found Grant's coaching, and now here I am. And it was such like, I saw for a moment how this MC and like other people saw him as not this like amazing figure of knowledge and like this marketing guru, but somebody that was like, get to the point, little guy.
Yes.
And that really stuck with me. I wanted to just bring that up.
Oh, that is a really good point. I have to go back and watch the video now. Well, and you always pointed that out to me in my last meeting with Ray, as we referred to the Last Supper or whatever, like when I'm like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And he goes, yes. But like, to me, when I first watched it, I was like, I thought that I was being rude. So it's weird how when you're still kind of like healing from all this, you still look at yourself and that cult identity or that mindset is still in there. And I'm like, oh, I was so rude to like yell, like, can you hear me? But he was blatantly like, like talking about hate over me and trying to get everyone to think I was a hater. And I never saw that until like you had always said it, but I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah. And because dissent is hate. You don't question the leader. You don't question Ray. So I feel like a lot of that is just embedded in us, where we are all, the tendency is like, I must have just completely overreacted and lost my shit. Like there's no way I could have been reasonable, because any dissent, you cannot say no, you cannot disagree. It is like, if you disagree, you've gone off like from 0 to 10. It has to be, it couldn't be like you disagreed and it was like a completely reasonable, like your voice was fine. Not that there's anything wrong with actually having emotions, but yeah, it's distorted. So even when you're in it and you're waking up and you're exiting and you're speaking out, like you're still struggling to see like reality and feel it, because you're still healing,
I mean, I looked at that and I thought I was batshit crazy. And then I had people say, you seemed so calm. Like how, and I'm like, wow, it's weird. Anyway, it's like, it's so weird. Okay. How much did you both spend over time?
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Just any of these questions, you don't have to.
Just, I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. But if I were to factor in like a Mercedes car payment and like all the Arbonne stuff, I mean, I would think 100 grand. I mean, it's got to be close but with just Ray, I didn't spend that much because I was a coach. Whereas I spent for the $5,000 to, like, in comparison to other people, you get what I mean? I did get access to things that other people didn't have, but I spent $20 a month on Rankmakers, like whatever the, what was it? We'll say $99 for Rankmakers Live or Rankmaker Lifer, because I was a coach and probably got some deal. The very first event, even though I was a coach, I had to pay for. But after that, they were virtual and we got to go for free. But my flight, hotel, all that I had to shell out. I don't know. That was what, $2,500. Then I don't know. I'm gonna guess like 15 grand over the course of the time. Because then I went to a mastermind at his house, paid for the flight and the hotel myself, but yet he marketed it like, oh my God, look, Jennifer Rajala earned this mastermind. What did I earn? To hang out at his house? Wow. People have to pay to hang out with you at your house. You're so amazing. I don't know. What do you think, Julie? I don't even want to think about it.
I know. I think this is what I think. I think that like with Mon 8 and with Rankmakers, it's like at 40 to 50 grand for sure. Beyond that, I don't even think I can stomach it. I like when I was interviewed by Marco, it was the first day that I like added up what I had earned the first year, and it was like $14,000, and I had spent like $9,000, and I'm like, nope. I think that might be a page where, you don't turn the page. I like rip the page out, I burn it, and I don't even think about it again. This doesn't even count the time like that we spent that is unpaid, that like, you're doing all this work. But yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know how much, and it makes me really uncomfortable even now.
Time, money, freedom. Hashtag time, money, freedom.
This is a funny comment from Charlie. New reality show, Billionaires Behind Bars.
But he's a billionaire real estate agent. Oh my God, I still laugh at myself for that. Yeah.
Claire says, exactly. These MLM coaches only care about themselves and their bank account. They are master manipulators and know the exact right things to say to anyone. Kirsten has a really good point here. Sounds like busy work. If you are so busy, maybe it is harder to have the time to question things. Could you see people burn out from all this?
Yeah, me. No, it's a really good point. I don't say that to like diminish the question. Julie, I mean, you stopped doing a live. What happened to you when you stopped doing the busy work?
Yeah. So like this, if you're so busy, it is harder to have time to question things. And that's out of the bite model, like the behavior, information, thought, emotional control. So behavior, you have to do a live video. I was prospecting 200 people a day, following up with 40 people a day. I've got the same story like Ray. I was $1 million in debt, personal foreclosure. I was doing a live video every day for 3.5 years. I was prospecting 200 people
in my company for 4.5 years.
Exactly. I'm like, I've got the same thing. And you are so busy, you don't have the time to question things. And I did start to burn out. And when I stopped doing a live video every day and I had time away, just that time away, more cracks. It gave me the space to start asking and to start seeing. It's funny how hard these high control groups have to work to keep your attention. They will try everything: guilt, shame, anger, humiliation, peer pressure, the carrot. It's like the dream is just around the corner. Don't give up. You have to be plugged in every day. You take a couple of days off, it doesn't take much for the fog to start to clear. There's going to be a lot of healing and a lot more unpacking and like peeling back of the layers and stuff for sure. But it is staggering how fast your critical thinking comes back. They have to work to keep that shroud over you, and I did burn out.
When you
sorry.
No, I was gonna say you did no, I interrupted you, but you did content on taking social media breaks and the social media dilemma. Yeah, is that what it's called? The social dilemma. And you and I had conversations on the side before, like about, I need to take a break. I need to get offline, blah, blah, blah. And so we committed to each other. We're like, we're going to take 48 hours offline. And I felt so great after doing it. Because I realized I was burned out. I was so busy that it's like not until you stop where you realize like, holy shit. And I felt so great that I even pitched to the inner circle coaches that we should do a training on, like, this is so, like, they were like, hell no. But I was like, I just took a 48-hour social media break. And it would be so great to teach this to our people, like the importance of setting boundaries online. And I had this whole idea that I pitched. Oh, did that shit get shut down, but quick. Because now I see why, because they're not controlling your behavior anymore. If you're not online consuming information, you have time to critically think.
Yep. And I remember having that conversation with you too. Like, oh, I just pitched them. And I'm like, that's so amazing. And I remember somebody had said to you, like, we're a social media company. Like, we have to keep doing this. And I'm like, yeah, but what a standard it would set if, like, even though I was like pissed off at Ray and I had dropped out of the last 14-day challenge, I still was in. And I wanted to say this too, like about tying in with this burning out. If he had paid me for that TikTok training, there's a good chance I'd still be in multi-level marketing. Right now, I'd be within Rank Makers and I might be with another multi-level marketing company, not Mon8. It was that final line of how manipulative he is. So even though I had burned out, even though there's a really good fucking chance, because that was for me the final thing. And like, how we've been talking, thinking back of this could be me. I could be in so deep still, so realizing that I stopped doing a daily live video every day. I live video every day. And then when you take that step back, you take time off, you realize how exhausted you are. Yeah. But you need to get in order to get that time off, because we're not going to willingly do it because we're so guilted into taking a break. Taking a break is going to make your business fall 3 months behind. Taking a break means you are letting down the veteran that is on his hands and knees praying for a business opportunity that you could have presented, but you were too lazy because you were too tired. And shame on you for doing that. So it's like, people, if they do, like, they burn out, they don't see it. They think that they're just a failure. They didn't have enough energy. They should have got up at 5 a.m. and done intermittent fasting and did 75 hard, and then also took a cold
All
shower.
things I was doing.
All of these things, and that would have been it. So people are burning out from the activity, but they still don't see it like that.
Yeah, and I was doing Arbonne, Ray, Tony Robbins, 75 hard, all at the same time, just trying to find the thing that would work. And it's nuts. And like, no shit, I was burned out. Have they created
Yes.
Yes.
So the multi-level marketing industry does. It's the definition for deification. That's what they mean. They mean worship. They mean to, so when they'll say, it's like, you get on a 3-way call, or if you're going to invite me into your Facebook group and do a presentation, you want to edify me. What does that look like? Well, what it looks like is you're going to say, even if you've never met your upline or me, or you don't really know a lot, you're going to say that they're the best presenter ever, that you are, this person, this prospect is so lucky that this person is going to get on the call, because it's all about creating this power imbalance. And you want the other person to feel like they're so special, and that they're not only just special, but they're like, they need to listen, that that they are less than, that this other person is so much more powerful and smarter, and that it's really about creating that emotional instability and uncertainty in someone. It's not just about pumping sunshine up someone else's ass, although that's a big part of it. It's about creating, like, making the other person feel like shit, diminishing yourself, or diminishing. So if you're like introducing someone, I'm so much less than, I've learned so much from this person, I owe everything that I've learned to him. But if, say, he's coming in to do like a 3-way call or a presentation, or somebody, in your Facebook group, it's like, all of you should be so grateful. You don't know, he was $1 million in debt and personal foreclosure, living on his buddy's couch, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Do you want to add to that, Jen?
No, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, that's the definition of edify. And it's weird, because that is one of the things that helped me wake up, that weird changing of a definition. Like, how random that it's like, hey, this isn't what I'm doing.
Yeah. Melissa, Ray wants to be powerful in every conversation he has, and the way he does it is by criticizing, no matter how contradictory or ridiculous it is.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Any compliment he does give you, like, looking back, they're like, hey, rock star. Like, that's his complimenting, is like, hey, like, I rock star is the only thing that I think he ever said that felt complimentary. Like, or appreciate you, he'd say. We'd be in like a conversation, and he'd be like, appreciate you. Like, it's very, it's insincere.
Yeah. I had a nice smile and great energy. My videos weren't that good. My videos weren't that good until I completely transformed myself under the tutelage of Ray in the 14-day challenge. But my smile had a nice smile.
I don't remember.
That was the compliments I got.
And it's true. You do have a nice smile and great energy. So I don't remember ever being complimented, but maybe that's just my mindset.
You're just living in scarcity.
Yeah.
I can help you out with that. I have a course. It's on special. It's only $7.97. Jen,
yeah, edify definitely doesn't mean that.
Sam says, so it was pointless then, Julie? Exactly. Here's a really great question. How did you two stay connected after you left, Julie?
Well, Julie left first and was doing content on TikTok, and I was watching that. Like I said, I specifically remember watching it when I had my gum surgery, and then also around Christmas. I told you there was that video where you're in front of a Christmas tree and you're putting away your toy train set, and you're talking, I think, about the bite model or something. And it was like, it was clicking for me, because you weren't like, it wasn't an anti-MLM video. It was you were talking about like high control behavior. So anyway, I was watching Julie's videos, and stuff was clicking, and I had reached out to her and I said, hey, I see you. And I'm working on my exit strategy. And then I kind of was quiet and I listened to the podcast that she had done. And I guess I don't know. I just kept like, she was the only person I knew. That's the other thing. She was the only person I knew that had left and was speaking out. I didn't, I glommed onto her, I guess is the answer. But we were friends during the process. And Michelle as well. Like Michelle and I both went to a mastermind at Ray's house. Michelle, the season 1 play to win winner. Michelle and Julie had been connected. What is beautiful is that we were friends through the whole process. And it just so happens that all of us actually did get out. There isn't like one of us who stayed in. I don't know. We stayed connected because I didn't have anyone else to go to, but I also really considered you a friend and I respected you. And that's why I listened to your TikToks. It was like, I know her. Like I coached her, but it was more than that. It meant something to me.
Yeah.
It was more than that. I wasn't just your coach in my eyes. I'm like, I can't just hate her. Like what is happening? I know that was such a all over the place. I don't know the answer. Thank God we did, but I didn't really have anybody else to turn to.
Yes. When I left and started speaking out, I lost everybody. I had no one. And I had all these people start coming after me, like thousands of people within like network marketing. And so I was speaking out on TikTok. I didn't have the courage to speak out on other platforms yet. And I don't know if it was like, for some reason, I keep thinking it was like 3 months after. When did you send me that message? Do you know? Because I started speaking out in
March, or I think it was early April or maybe end of March.
January, February, March. So yeah, about 3 months ish. Because I started speaking out in middle of December 2021. And I keep thinking in my head it was about 3 months. So that 3-month period, it was absolute hell. The only thing I had was anti-MLM content and content creators who didn't know that I was consuming their content. And this is why it's so important. It does not matter how many followers or subscribers you have. Your voice is so important. And even if you are just leaving comments, there was one creator, Jenny Wild, that I would follow her comments that she would leave all over Instagram. And I was like, I was learning through those comments, and that's comments are content that's what I think. And I didn't have a community. I'd lost everything. And I had people that I thought were my friends, like attacking me. And so I started to like gradually, become friends with different people like within anti-MLM, but your trust is shot. I haven't gotten into therapy. I'm thinking all I need to do is just heal. It's a lot, but I can't believe it. And I have this goal though in my head. Like if I can see anybody get out, it will be Jen. I don't care. I just hope Jen gets out. And I do an interview with Daniel Bolster from Huns to Humans. And at the end of it, like off air, I'm like, if there's anybody that I hope to see get out, it's Jen. If no, and then my work is done. Like, it's not just me. It's going to be a lot of other things. You get yourself out. It's not a creator that gets you out. You get yourself out. That's really important. It's your locus of control. But it was about 3 months after I began speaking out that when you sent me that message on TikTok, I was like floored. I couldn't believe that you're like, you've woken up. I'm working on my exit strategy. And I'd only been out 3 months. This is before I have like my mental breakdown and I have to go see a psychologist. I've spoken with Danielle Bolster, who is a therapist. And I'm like, how do I talk to my coach? My coach is getting out. Like, this is actually happening.
Yeah, because your natural tendency is to just be like, yes, it's a cult and this is why, and like share everything you've learned. So sorry.
And no, that's important. And it is, because you're coming out of these high control groups and you're always supposed to have the solutions to everybody's problems. And it's like, I can't act like that. I don't know what to do and I don't want to mess this up. And she gave me this piece of advice. She says, you're going to want to say yes and just go off on like these, big tangents and point out and agree and explain everything that you've learned. She said, but just hold space for her. Allow her just to hear her thoughts and say what needs to be said. And she's going to get herself out. And so she says, in normal experiences, I wouldn't advise like holding back, but she said something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but hold back, let her do it. And so then that's what I did, but I was like really uncertain about what I should do. So it was about 3 months afterwards, we still had this friendship because she was my coach. Even when she was my coach, she was like bucking against the rules because I was also bucking against the rules. And she sent me this book because I was fucking difficult. I kept winning money from the Higdon Group. They can't get rid of me. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like,
you're on TikTok, ding dong.
Keeps giving us money. We got to keep her around the campfire long enough. But Jen sends me a book from Glennon Doyle called Untamed. And in it, there's this passage about being a goddamn cheetah. So anyway, I was like, I felt really seen. And we were both still deep in. She's my coach. I'm her client. But we see things that are going on that's wrong. So we still had this connection. So how did we stay connected afterwards? There was like kind of a gap. And then like about 3 months afterwards, when Jen reached out to me, and then it was just, we were in, and we've been like healing together. And then Michelle Culberson, she started, we've all been like talking with each other. We're connected. Being able to connect with people in the same group that you've been a part of, and then piece things together and help each other heal, and then laugh about it and have dark humor. It's been so helpful.
Yes.
It's a gift. We're lucky. Yeah. Karina is, oh, here we go. Karina is saying, Jennifer, you're a freaking badass. Absolutely agree.
Thank you.
Ginny Jin says, that's so heartwarming. I love this story. And Kelly says, it's so good you all helped each other. That is what it looks like when they say all boats rise during high tide. Yes.
That's a good point.
Kirsten says, I'm glad you weren't cut off completely. And Karina says, I'm so glad you both got out. You both deserve so much better. Kelly says, some people get out of MLMs and start creating content and become the thing they hated. You've stayed true, Julie. Yeah. Isn't that it?
Yeah.
What did Ray said something, and it doesn't make any sense. I was thinking about it today when he's like, you never become that which you despise. It's like, no shit. I despise a bank robber. I'm not going to become him. And it's like, then he meant it in this weird way that like, so say Grant Cardone.
It was about money, because
it's about money. If you hate, say there's like a jerk like Grant Cardone, like just say there's a billionaire jerk. And he just is a horrible
just
person.
Hypothetically.
He's a Scientologist and he's like loves Eric Worre, and he just wants to take your money. He's just a dick. But you know what? All of these qualities about him are irrelevant, but because he's rich, it's like you hate him, you're never going to become that which you despise. Therefore, you are never going to become rich. Therefore, you have a poor money mindset and you need to purchase my course and my new book. And that's you just got to give me more money. That's what's wrong. And it all roads lead back to giving Ray more money.
Now, I do have to say, my kids are going to be coming home from school here any minute.
Okay. Look at that. Okay, we can wrap this up. You want to answer, or do you want to just?
Yeah, until they come, of course.
Okay, great. All right. Anne says, are there any other rank makers thinking of getting out that you know of?
Yeah, and they have definitely. I mean, I know Julie has created a very safe space for people to reach out and talk to her. I have had, luckily, many of my inner circle clients left, and I've stayed in conversation with them, and not all of them speak out. And that's fine, because there are so many nuances to this. I think that's the whole point of the conversation, is like, people really just don't know what happens inside of these insular groups. And they may speak out at some point, they may not. But I mean, believe me when we say that, that sounds like culty to me. Trust me. Trust me when I tell you. Ray has collateral on people, or he knows things about people, whether because they worked closely with him as a coach, as a contestant, what have you, that there is a real fear that he could use it against them, because he uses people. So why wouldn't there be that fear? I hope more get out. And if there is anybody listening to this, like it's tough. It's not you, it's not your mindset. Like the weird feelings that you're feeling of like, I've respected this man, but I also see it. Like those two things, like we've talked about, can exist at the same time. And it's important to hold both of them at the same time. It's not black and white like we've been taught.
Yeah. Are there, when it's hard because you're going against this whole community that you were a part of. It's like a family. So
It's a different
people,
breed.
it is a different breed. It's a different breed. So when people are reaching out, sometimes they're not able, well, it's not everyone is like Jen saying, I'm working on my exit strategy. Some people are. Some people, it's like we see them in our stories. Like one of my strategies for a lot of 2022 was, I know Ray would make content about me, and everybody would. All the rank makers would. And then I'd get people telling me about this. So then I would make content in my stories because it was a really safe place for people to come and look at content. And Jen does similar. She makes amazing content in stories, and it gives a safe space for people to look at and have this kind of intimate connection, like this, a connection with you still without having to say anything. It's nuanced, and it might take, like it took me a year and a half before I got out. So I know that there's people, there's no way that they're not aware of what's going on, because Ray has been forced to stop using the definition of posture. He's been forced to address criticism, and the way he is handling it is contradicting what he's taught. And there's no way that you can not see this. Before, there was not any criticism of him at all, and now there's so much. Like it is like it's 0 to hero. So, and because we're all on social media, Rank Makers is on Facebook. Even if they're blocking out other people, they're exposed to this information. So I think there's a lot more than what I know of. Pretty much, I don't hear from people until they're out or they're on their way out. And part of me is because I've been, I've had to put boundaries up where, for me, I can't have the conversation with someone where they're like, well, my company is different. I get that Monade is, but my company is different. I'm like, you're not there yet. I don't have the ability to hold those conversations with people because I have so fucking many conversations. I'm like, no, I need to protect my mental health. But there's a lot of other creators that are like that. So I typically, actually, exactly, I hear from people who are already out. Usually, typically, when people say exactly what you just said, I actually get out.
Oh man, this stuff will never leave.
It'll never leave. Kelly says, the more people are brave like you and speak out, the easier it will be for people to see the red flags. And everybody here in the comment section, thank you so much, because this is social proof that these groups and this behavior is not okay. This is what people go to. Like people, especially in Rank Makers, we're good at social media. We know how to emotionally manipulate people. We're like, and so and we are used to producing. Even if we're like thinking, well, I only prospected 40 people, like we do a lot more than the average like person in multi-level marketing. And I don't want to like say, oh, we're so much better or whatever. And I know that it sounds like that, but they're so fucked up. We're so mind fucked that we're used to doing so much because we're part of this other group, just by dint of tuning in to watch these other live videos and that when you start like scaling back or taking in other information, we take in a lot of information, and your comments are part of that. It's so powerful to see people say like, who is this guy? Like, this isn't right. That is so unethical. And
there's nothing, and there's also nothing more validating when someone doesn't know who Ray is. Like that, a little, it makes me feel so good. So thank you. When you're like, who is Ray Higdon? I'm like, yes.
That's what I found too. I found it so powerful. Like even content creators, like Mac Attack too. He had said something. I've never heard of this guy, and it's a genuine thing. It's not an act. It's not put on. you can sense that even when you're in a cult, even when you're starting to wake up, even when you're starting to look at different anti-MLM content and different podcasts and episodes, it's getting through. It's going to take time, but it's getting through. And you're part of this. Leaving a comment. It's I'm not I don't want to I can't even talk. But you know what I mean, I hope. If not, no big deal. Fuck!
Or if not, I'll gaslight you and shame you.
Exactly.
If you don't understand what I mean, then you're not a real rake maker.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Here's one from Anne, and then maybe we could Anne says, I was anti-MLM for a long time before knowing who Ray Higdon was. Yeah.
Because he flew under the radar for a really long time.
And you will be, it's difficult to find people that were within rank makers speaking out against rank makers. And that is a huge red flag. Yeah. How many people do you know? How many people do you know from MLM coaching cults that are speaking out?
Make your 100-person list.
Yeah. The numbers are abysmal. And that shows the level of indoctrination and fear of speaking out of what can possibly happen. It took me, I had to work with a psychologist to be able to say Ray's name. And I needed to, because I'm like, I promoted this guy. I recruited people into 100K inner circle coaching and into rank makers. I endorsed him on TikTok. I encouraged people to follow him. I have to have the courage to say his name. And I had no problem saying his name when I was in it, when I was edifying him, but like having criticism of him. So when you see like this kind of background and I mean, the depth in this context of this particular MLM coaching cult and what it entails just to speak out, there is a real fear of speaking out. And you don't even think, even today now, I will question myself and I'll be like, was he really that bad though, Julie? Maybe it's you. Maybe you're making this up. I'm like, I know I'm not making this up because I see this right in front of my face, but the mind fuckery is still there even now. And it's been over a year.
Absolutely. I do that too. Was it that bad? Am I overreacting?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so great.
That's fantastic.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. So, do you want to wrap this up? Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jen, so much. Jen Rajala. She is on TikTok and Instagram. I'll when this uploads, I'll update the description. It might take me a bit of time. Sometimes I have to go to work tonight. So sometimes I can't edit the description, but I will get up her handles or whatever they're called, their usernames, whatever. And if I fuck up on something, please feel free to correct me. I make a lot of mistakes and I just, I want to fucking be that 1% better every day. Thank you so much, Jen.
Or 10X. Which one is it, Julie? Do you want a 10X?
I'm going to 69X. I 69. I don't fuck around. I take it to the next level. I go deep. Thank you all. Thank you, Jen. And thank you all so much for commenting, for supporting, for helping to add to the conversation. These are difficult conversations and there's no right or wrong way to do it. Every voice is extremely important. I don't have all the answers. I just know like being in this place where I'm at a year out. And also like when I first get out, I'm like extremely like combative, antagonistic. I get fucking defensive. I get like, I want to protect people that are still within. At the same time, I want to call out behavior. I don't know the way through this. And each of us has our own unique ways of presenting this data. And it's all important. And I just want to show my respect to all anti-MLM creators that are doing the best that they can, how they can, to just expose this shit and to help out people because we've all been affected by this. And Jen, you can have the last word. This is for you.
No, thank you. Just thanks for always creating a safe space for people who are questioning and leaving to come to you. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for all the content that you've made. And just thanks for having me. And if anyone does want to reach out to me and has other questions that weren't answered, they absolutely can. But thank you.
Do you have any, I wanted to ask you this too. Did you have anything that you would like to say to maybe your clients that are starting to think they're watching this and tuning in at the end? Any kind of rank maker, any special message that you'd like to end with?
I mean, I basically already said it, was just like, it's not your mindset. Even if myself or someone else told you that it was, because I know I told people that. Like, listen to yourself. Like, you are enough. Your voice and your thoughts and what you think and your values are way more important than the values that get bestowed upon you. Part of what I don't know, I just think, listen to yourself. It's not your mindset. Your mindset isn't broken, even if I may have been the one who told you that. And reach out anytime. I'm still here as a support person. I'm not a hater. I care about you, and I'm still here as much as I ever was, if not more. All right.
There you go. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.